Okay. Hi. Um, Thank you for tuning into our podcast. Which episode are we on? Number, is this 4?
It's 4 or 5, something like that. I've lost track.
Yeah, so have I. So this is our quarterly wrap up for January through April 2026. And there's one book that we read in December that we're going to talk about at the end. Kathleen is going to talk about her album release party first.
So I had my album release on April 10th at the art department up on Congress Street, and I'm pretty sure we maxed out the art department capacity, so there was a lot of people there and it went really well. And we sold like 8 albums out of the 10, so those sold really well.
And we bought one online too.
Yeah, and then you guys bought one online, and my cousin Dan bought a copy online and a physical copy after he got home from deployment. So, yep.
Update on 2026 goals. So, what were your 2026 goals, Kathleen?
Do more embroidery, art and collage.
How's that going?
Good. I still have to figure out my June art piece, how I want to do the Olympic rings, but actually I'm going to do an embroidery piece for that. But I have done more collage, so I have successfully. So one of my miniature collages that I did, the City of Love, which I'll insert a picture of it here, got accepted into the Mayo Street art miniature, and I went to the opening reception for that on May 1st with my mom. But back to our scheduled podcast episode with Janine and Matt and I completed that goal.
So I have been working on doing some watercolor pieces at the class that Matt and I are taking through the adult education program. We will insert some pictures. They'll be up above our heads. And then I've also been doing some collages here and working on losing weight. And also I'm going to talk for writing goals. I'm focusing more on doing last minute edits for my fan fiction because I noticed after I self-published it in December that there were some errors that I need to fix. So I'm working on that, and I'm also writing a play for Port Fringe, which I'll talk about in a second. But Matt's going to talk about his goals first.
Now, my goals here in this class are just to continue on learning how to perfect my series of style writing, which is pen, pencil, and marker. But in the watercolor class that Gina and I took recently, I learned about how to mix colors in and basic styles of using a paintbrush. And as I was practicing that one day, suddenly what came into play on a piece of paper was my imagination of this area of Maine here, which on the seacoast where there's rivers and streams into the ocean, there are estuaries and marshes around, such as the Wapana River in Wells, Maine, which goes into the harbor and the jetty. But there are a lot of other goals that Gina and I are working on too. We're continuing on with our series of plays for the summer, and then we have some family events to attend.
And we're going to talk about that in the video that we're making on his channel next weekend. Or I suppose once this comes out, the video will already be released. So the link to the video on his channel will be in the description box below. So for my play, I have been busy working on my script, and I'm getting to the point where I'm going to be starting to memorize my lines soon. As a reminder for the dates of my play, it's at the Portland Stage Theater on Forest Avenue in Portland at 9:30 p.m. on June 12th and 17th, and 6:30 p.m. on June 13th and 14th. And tickets are $20. I will have the ticket link in the description because the ticket website goes live on May 1st. This video will be out on May 8th. Okay, discussions from August radio show, disability rights. So on our radio show in August, Kathleen and I talked about neurodivergency rep and Friends and Gilmore Girls for a little while. Yeah. Have you noticed any of the characters on Friends that might be neurodivergent, and who, Matt?
I believe you have a good point, Janine. I think there's one condition called OCD, and Monica, who was played by Courtney Cox, seems to follow that example.
So there's a fan theory that I've heard a video about that Monica was the subject of drug testing for her weight loss, because like in the video, in the flashback episodes, you see her that she's overweight, and then by the pilot episode, you see that she's really skinny. Of course, we know that Courtney Cox was wearing a fat suit for the flashback episodes, but the fan theory says that she was the drug, she was the subject of drug testing, and that maybe she's also addicted to the drugs, and those are the drugs that are hidden in the secret closet in the secret closet episode. And the video that we watched on YouTube said that her obsessive cleaning is a side effect of her taking a weight loss medication, but no, that's wrong. She has OCD. That has nothing to do with weight loss drugs. So yes, when I was researching this topic for the radio show in August, I found an article online, which I will link in the description below, that was specifically about Monica and Ross being neurodivergent. And that article said that Monica has OCD and Ross is autistic. And as somebody who knows people who have autism and has a disability that is similar but not really the same to autism, I have a nonverbal learning disability that is on the autism spectrum, but I do not have autism. I have noticed that like Ross rocks with a long gait, kind of like me with my cerebral palsy, and that he's obsessively hyperfixated on a topic. Like for me, that's musical theater or TV shows like Friends or books, and for Ross, it's dinosaurs. But I actually messaged David Crane on Instagram. He was one of the directors of Friends. After I was on the radio with Kathleen, and I was like, "Hey, David, how are you? I was just wondering, were any of the Friends characters meant to be neurodivergent? Because I noticed that a lot of the characters were similar to me." And he said no, because neurodivergent disabilities such as autism were not really well diagnosed at the time. So it could be possible from a current vantage point that Ross had undiagnosed autism, but David Crane said that none of the characters in Friends were meant to be neurodivergent. Serious issues in the media for Fools Rush In. So Kathleen and I talked about the scene in Fools Rush In where Alex's and Isabel's parents are on the boat and are kind of arguing, and they're getting in a heated argument that turns out to be a little bit racist. If that movie was remade in the current context, like obviously Matthew Perry would not be in it, but I feel like if a similar movie or a sequel to this movie were to be remade, it would be focused on Alex and Isabel's kids. Like, how do you think the racism topic would be handled better if a sequel with the kids of Alex and Isabel were to be made?
I think they could, like handle it better just in general, because I feel like there was a lot of racism against like Spanish people.
And also a lot of misunderstanding.
And a lot of misunderstanding too. So I feel like, if people are more understanding of that ethnicity, and their way of looking at things, it would be less discriminating.
Yes, I agree with that. So the next thing we're going to talk about is favorite movies that we watched. So for similarities between the three of us, our favorite movies were Fools Rush In, 17 Again, and Little Women. So what did you guys like about those movies?
Well, Little Woman's always been one of my favorite movies because I just enjoy the storyline of that, and so, I just like, and I love the sisters in that movie.
Which character did you relate to the most? For me, it's Joe.
I would say Beth. Yeah,
Because you're a musician.
because I'm a musician.
Well, I'm a musician too, but
She plays a lot of piano in the
movie, in the play,
in the
yeah.
movie and the play, so I kind
For
of
me, my favorite, I have always connected to Jo because I'm a reader and a writer and an actress, so she encapsulates all of my hobbies.
yeah.
Matt, who's your favorite character in Little Women?
I think in Little Woman, my favorite character was always, I think the oldest one, and also Beth, because those two girls have a lot of imagination. But what Amy had done as a little sister was misunderstanding on why Jo was making the story. And then Beth, she really had a good future ahead, but it was hard to see when back then they had the scarlet fever, and it was incurable.
Yeah.
But also, what I like about Little Woman was the setting for that was 19th century in Concord, Massachusetts, and that was nearby my neck of the woods.
Yeah, he's originally from Burlington, Massachusetts. I grew up in Saugus, which is off of Route 1. What did you guys like about 17 again? That's the second movie that we have in common that we all liked.
I like how they went back to his like teenage years in the movie.
Do you feel like Zac Efron was typecast in that movie because of High School Musical? Because I do. Because like he's a basketball player now, and Troy is a basketball player.
No, I can see that. I feel like they definitely cast him because of the fact that he was in High School Musical because of and he played basketball, so he was already like, he had already filmed a movie based in that type of sport, so they knew he was good at it. So
To me, 17 again is a modern retelling of It's a Wonderful Life. Matthew Perry's adult character, Mike O'Donnell, is the stand-in for George Bailey. The creepy janitor in high school is Clarence the Angel, and then the whole thing with him falling into the river and going back in time is like him seeing what his life would be like if he was never born, although it's a lot less like morbid than that. And what about you, Matt? What do you like best about 17 again?
Well, for me, 17 again, it was one of those stories with Zac Efron, who, you're right, he, like in High School Musical, he did play basketball. But what I also liked about it was how he felt like he made a mistake later on in his life after he graduated high school, but it was a good chance for him to revisit and almost like a start all over again.
Do you think that Matthew Perry's character and his wife would still be together today?
no, I think there's too many differences between the two of them. They were always arguing.
That would be hard to say, Janine.
So I don't know, I think they made the decision to kind of get married too young.
Well, I mean, but in the courtroom scene, he kind of says, I apologize for, when he's in
No.
the scene in your body is soft in the courtroom, he like apologizes. So I feel like they would have reconciled, but you guys might be right. Maybe they would not still be together. Do you think he would still have a good relationship with his kids who were, when the daughter was played by the late Michelle Trachtenberg?
Yes.
I
think he still would have had a relationship with his kids. I think he would have tried to make an effort to still have a relationship with them.
Yeah,
Even if
he wasn't together with the wife.
Yeah, exactly.
What about you, Matt?
It would be a complicated thing, but to revisit again with the kids, it's something else in the family.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you think Isabella and Alex in Fools Rush In would still be together?
No, I don't think so, because the way Alex treated Isabel at first, it was kind of a rushing in paradox when he was on assignment in Las Vegas.
It was, okay, first of all, their relationship was rushed. Secondly, they kind of broke up, and then when he went to go visit the grandmother in Mexico, the grandmother was like, get back together with her, you're meant to be with her. I liked the scene with the grandmother, I thought it was cute, but do I think Isabel and Alex would still be together? No, but they would have probably co-parented their daughter, and their daughter would have a daughter, and I'm writing a fan fiction about the daughter honoring her grandfather for Day of the Dead, so. What were your favorite, what did you like best about the book to movie adaptations that we watched for Angela's Ashes and Little Women and Marley and Me, Matt?
Well, first of all, Angela's Ashes. This took place in Ireland, and I do have a family history of that country myself. Plus, I can understand that praying is a big part of living the life there, because I heard about with television and media, for every once on top of the hour at a certain time, they would stop and you would pray.
Right.
Yeah.
So going to church is very, very important.
As somebody who grew up Catholic, I can relate to the part about praying, but I'm not as Catholic religion as I used to be. What I liked about the movie of Angela's Ashes was definitely the cinematography of Ireland, because as somebody who has only been to Italy and never to Ireland or any other country in Europe, I really loved the cinematography. I felt the same way about the scenes in Greece and the Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants. With Marley and Me, the scene at the end always gets me going when Jennifer Aniston's character, Jenny, says goodbye to Marley. Sorry for the spoiler, you guys, but the dog does die at the end of the movie, and I always cry. For Little Women, my favorite character, we just talked about Little Women.
Yeah, we did.
For Pride and Prejudice, I just liked the scenery of England, yeah.
Yeah, same here. I think they did a nice job with that setting for Pride and Prejudice.
And what I also liked about Marley and Me was it was another book adaptation that I actually read both the book and watched the film.
What did you think of the film versus the book?
It does show the life of an unnewer dog who failed in obedience school. And it makes life a little difficult for the family. But when you get Jennifer Aniston in this movie, then you have lots of drama, and when you play with a dog, you get lots of memories because, like all of us, we eventually grow old, and dogs have shorter lifespans than humans.
Jennifer Aniston's husband in this movie was played by Owen Wilson from Wedding Crashers, and he had really good chemistry. Another Friends actor that's in this movie is Kathleen Turner, who played Chandler's dad, Charles, and also for you 80s movies fans, she's also the voice of Jessica Rabbit in Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
That's right.
So the next book to movie comparison that me and Kathleen wanted to talk about that we watched recently was The Devil Wears Prada. What'd you think?
Well, that's one of my all-time favorite movies because it talks about the fashion industry, and how Andy Sachs, who is the main character in
Played by Anne Hathaway, my favorite.
played by Anne Hathaway, gets into the fashion industry for a job because she's looking for a job, and so she works for this really mean, not so nice, this fashion designer,
Who was played by
Meryl
Meryl Streep.
I was played by Meryl Streep, but I think they did a really nice job with that movie, just casting the characters.
The cast, yes,
Yeah.
I agree. The character casting in The Devil Wears Prada was fantastic.
Yep.
As somebody who's not really fashion forward, I dress pretty well, but I wouldn't say I'm really up to date on all the current designers. So the thing I like the best about The Devil Wears Prada is the introduction to the fashion industry that it gave me and all the different designers. Because I saw this movie when it first came out in 2006, and I don't know about you, I'm ready for the sequel. The sequel came out on the 18th, so
Yeah,
I'm
looking
super
forward to seeing
excited.
the sequel.
The boyfriend, he's a jerk. I hate him. Adrian Venier's character,
Yeah, I don't think he's very nice. I think
he's not nice.
Yeah.
And I would not like to have a boss like Miranda. No, I would be afraid of her. Oh my god. She's like Rachel's boss in Friends at Ralph Lauren. Gets run over by the taxi cab.
Yeah, not very nice.
No, not very nice.
You wouldn't want to work for her, but it does kind of give a good picture of the fashion industry and kind of what editors in the fashion industry can be like, how snotty they can be sometimes. So I do think it gives a good picture of the actual the reality of that type of job.
Okay. So, the next thing we're going to talk about is character analysis on Lorelai. This was a discussion topic recommended to us by Katie Park, so thank you, Katie.
Yep.
What do you like the best about Lorelai's character?
Well, I like how she runs her own inn. You know, she gets, that's kind of what she wanted to do, was her dream job was to run an inn. So, you know, I feel like she ends up being successful with that even after what happened in, I think, season 3.
Right.
So so I think she just shows that she's a good boss. I guess is the word.
Besides Luke, who's the favorite guy so far that Lorelai has dated?
I would have to say Max Medina
Me too.
from season 1.
Do you like Jason, the boyfriend in the current season?
No,
Me neither.
he annoys the out of me.
So annoying, yeah. What do you, well, we've talked about this before in a Mother's Day episode from last year. What do you think of Rory and Lorelai's relationship?
I think there's a lot of times where I feel like she's being a mom, and a lot of times where like they're being like best friends.
I feel like sometimes they can be a little codependent, but then
Yeah.
Lorelai flexes her mother muscles. Like in the first episode where Rory is fighting back about going to Chilton Academy, I was like, yay. Thank you for fighting back about her dating somebody with a motorcycle, because I don't think she liked Dean because he drove a motorcycle.
No, and the I agree that she kind of is kind of a mom in that way, but then there's other times where it's like she's trying to be too like a friend to Rory and not really so much a parent.
Likewise, I think she's also a good mother figure to Lane, because her mom is really strict and really mean, and Lorelai is really like laid back and really nice to her and really caring to her. I mean,
Compared to Lane's mom.
her mom cares. Lane's mother definitely cares about her, but I just think she's too controlling. She's like Emily, only worse.
Yeah.
I
agree.
So the next thing I'm going to talk about is my fan fiction. As I was saying earlier, I had to edit it because there were a lot of mistakes, and I realized that one of the chapters is too long, so in the edited version, there's part of a chapter that's going to be cut out. I'm just going to read a poem that's in here that's really short, and then we're going to go on to our reading wrap-up. This is a very unseasonal poem. I'm sorry, but it's from the first chapter of the fan fiction, where it's winter, so... Snow falls down, flakes are drifting to the ground, gratitude never ends, always grateful for family and friends, fires burning bright, Christmas cookies are always a delight. I mean, the gratitude part is for all year round, so I think even though this is a winter poem, the gratitude portion can fit for all year round. So this will be hopefully printed by the art show in June
5th.
But if it isn't, then it will be in next December's art show. I'm confident that it will be done by the June 5th art show, but we'll have to see. The price will also be changing. Originally, it was $10, and for this time around, it's going to be $15, just because it's the fully edited version with no typos and no spacing errors and whatever else was wrong before. And there's also a mature content font that I eliminated because I was kind of worried about how my family would view it, so I just cut that all out. So yes, this will be for $15, and if you live out of state and want to buy a copy, please include $5 for shipping in your payment through cash, check, or Venmo, and you can message me on Instagram or Facebook to place your order. I will take pre-orders starting today. Well, this video is being filmed on April 26th. It will be out on May 8th.
And before they move on to their next topic, I forgot to mention about another movie that's based on the Friends characters, Romeo and Michelle's High School Reunion. Now this one is Lisa Kudrow, who plays Phoebe on Friends, and she reunites with her character in California, and they go on an adventure together. So
But
those dynamics were my best.
So,
part.
so Romy and Michelle's High School Reunion is another movie that's coming out with a sequel. I have heard Lisa Kudrow talk about it in interviews. I do not know when it's coming out, but I'm super excited about it, especially since my own high school reunion was a couple of years ago, and I can relate to the current framework of the sequel because it's been 20 years or more since the first movie came out, and now the sequel is coming out.
And
So-
lastly, I read the last book in Sarah Adams.
We're gonna talk about that right now. Hang on. So before we're gonna start our reading wrap up, and the first book we're gonna talk about today is the book that the three of us read together. It's called In Your Dreams, which is the final book in the Rome, Kentucky series by Sarah Adams. What did you like about this book?
So I read the whole series like from the beginning pretty much, and I enjoyed just the writing style of Sarah Adams' books, especially this one, like the storyline, I feel like was really well done, and it was an enjoyable read. So.
Matt, what about you? What did you like the best about In Your Dreams?
Well, it was the last of the series of the sisters. Hey, we got a little guest here. And it was about Madison, who was the youngest of the sisters. And she was a cook who lived for a while in New York City. But when she came back to Rome, Kentucky, then she was planning on opening her own farmer-to-table restaurant. And there were some challenges along with the boyfriend she met, and then there were some ups and downs, and eventually it opened. But I think I liked the other 2-3 books in the Rome, Kentucky series a little bit better.
And we got to meet Sarah Adams last year at Books A Million, she was very nice, and she said that this series was inspired by Gilmore Girls, so it was a perfect selection for this TBR.
Yeah.
So my opinions of In Your Dreams, not my favorite book in the series. James and Maddie were not my favorite couple. My favorite scene in this book was when her neighbor was comforting her after the failed restaurant opening. But I just felt like this couple didn't have as much chemistry. My favorite book in this series is Practice Makes Perfect. What about you?
I think Practice Makes Perfect was my favorite, along with Big Barn and Steel.
What about you?
I like the first and the second book. So.
Okay, the next book that we are going to talk about is Business Casual by B.K. Borison, which is the fourth book in the series with Love Light Farms. This is my second time reading this book. I selected it for the TBR because of the small town atmosphere, which is similar to Stars Hollow, and Charlie and Nova, the character in this book, are similar to Monica and Chandler. I gave it 4 stars. What about you?
I gave it 4 stars too. I enjoyed it. It was the first time reading it, but I think it was really well written.
The next book that we read is called Dewey by Brett Witter and Vicki Myron. And this is a sweet, short book that came out in the mid-2000s. It's about a cat that is found abandoned in a library drop box. So the librarian adopts her, and him,
Guy.
and
It's a boy cat.
adopts him and names him Dewey, like for the Dewey Decimal card catalog system in the library, which is extinct now, I think. And I love this book. It's very sweet. It's based on a true story, much like Marley and Me by John Grogan. And I had a special connection to this book because I had a cat when I lived in New Hampshire, and she sadly died the same way this cat did of cancer at the same time that the cat that this book is based on died. So they were the same age, which is it's a very sad way that I can connect to this book, but I love the writing. It was a short, quick read. I gave it 4.5 stars. What about you?
I gave it 5 stars, but that's because I enjoyed it. And it's about a cat, so I'm being a cat owner myself. But I think it was a nice kind of short read, and it was enjoyable. So.
The next book that we read for Manhattan to Stars Hollow TBR for the quarterly wrap up was called Just for the Cameras, which was Megan Quinn's new release from February 3rd. Megan Quinn's books have been hit or miss for me. Right now, I'm currently reading Till Summer Do Us Part, which I'm enjoying. I also enjoyed her Christmas book for 2024 called How My Neighbor Stole Christmas, which is a retelling of How the Grinch Stole Christmas. But her December release her holiday release from this year, Merry Christmas, Your Filthy Animal, I just couldn't get behind the romance because the female love interest was one-dimensional. In this book, Just for the Cameras, I didn't like the male love interest. His character development was not a problem for me. I just thought he was rude and obnoxious, and I think the woman could have done a lot better. The main characters in this book were named Grayson and I don't remember the guy's name. No, the guy's name was Grayson, and what was the girl's name? I don't remember either.
Yeah.
Okay, the thing that we both agreed upon about this book, Just for the Cameras,
It was
was
a
that
little bit too long.
it could have been like 250 pages shorter.
Yeah.
I think a good average length for a romance book is like 350 pages. When it gets to beyond 400 pages,
500.
I get tired really fast. And I almost stopped reading this book at 50% because I was just getting bored.
I mean, I enjoyed the book, but like you said, I agreed that it was a little bit too long. I have enjoyed Megan Quinn's writing style, but I think she could make her books a little bit shorter, especially for a romance book. Just because I feel like after a while it kind of drags on. After like 200 pages.
The next book that we read together was Part of Your World by Abby Jimenez. This is the first book in the self-titled series, Part of Your World. And this title is obviously a reference to the song from The Little Mermaid, in case you didn't catch it. And
I did kind of catch that. Yeah.
And Alexis's character reminds me of Ariel because she is wanting to like start over in a new place, kind of like Ariel, how she wants to leave the sea and be in a human world. I liked Alexis as a character. She reminded me of Monica because of how she was constantly trying to please her parents. And I liked her relationship with Daniel. I thought he was sweet, and we have made the crepes recipe before, and it's highly recommended. 8 out of 10. I gave this book 3.5 stars just because while I liked Abby Jimenez's writing style, it's not my favorite book in the series. My favorite book is book 2, which is Yours Truly.
Yours truly, yeah. This was the first time I read Part of Your World, but I did kind of see in the title when I was first reading it the Little Mermaid aspect that they were going for, which is probably why I enjoyed the book, because it reminded me of Little Mermaid. But this is since I have just gotten into the Abby Jimenez books, I've been enjoying her like writing style. I have not, since I've only read a couple of them, I have not been able to pick a favorite book of hers that I like because I'm just getting into that author. But so far I've enjoyed every single one I've read.
The next book that we read was Savor It by Tara DeWitt, which is the first book in the Spoons Oregon series. So this is set in the Pacific Northwest, so it's like Stars Hollow, but in Washington.
Yeah.
And I really love the setting and the dynamic between our two main characters, Sage and Fisher. And I also read Left of Forever last month, which is on the May TBR, I think. And I gave both of those books 4 stars. And the final book in this series is coming out in July. And I can't wait to see what happens next and what couple Tara DeWitt focuses on because I love her writing.
Yeah. This was a new to me author as well. But so far, Savor It and Left of Forever were two books that I heard that I've read I've enjoyed them. And her writing style is enjoyable.
The next book we are discussing today is The Night We Met, which is Abby Jimenez's new release from March 24th. So this book has been getting mixed reviews. It's the second book in the Say You'll Remember series. The final book in this series is coming out next year. This book focuses on Mike and Larissa, and there's a love triangle. I mean, Chris and Larissa and Mike. So that's the love triangle, which I hated. Abby Jimenez is a good writer, and I love all the character development of all of her couples. This love triangle, I hated. It reminds me of Dean, Jess, and Rory, and I just didn't like their love triangle either. And the thing that stands out to me about this book is that Mike is an alcoholic, and that makes his relationship with Larissa really difficult, and that's why she kind of has the emotional cheating issue with Chris because of not getting along with Mike and the fact that he is alcoholic. The next book in this series is coming out next year and it focuses on Mike, so I'm interested to actually learn more about him and if he overcomes his alcoholism. I gave this book 3.5 stars. What about you?
I gave it 4, but like I said, the only thing that really bothered me about this book, even though I enjoyed reading it, was the fact that Mike was an alcoholic. So that kind of bothered me, and the love triangle was annoying as well.
Did you kind of connect Mike's character to Friends, Lovers, and the Big Terrible Thing and how Matthew Perry talked about his alcoholism in his memoir?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
I just think I don't know, like, because they made his character an alcoholic, I don't think they made him the nicest character in the book. Like, if I had to take out, say, probably Chris was the nicer, you know.
My favorite love interest in Abby Jimenez book is definitely the guy from Yours Truly.
Yeah, that one's a good one.
The final book that we're talking about today is called Wild for You by Kristen Proby. This book was actually recommended to us through a post that I saw on Instagram from Lauren Graham, who plays Lorelai on Gilmore Girls. So thank you, Lauren Graham. Not that you're ever going to watch this video, but thank you. So this series is what part of the USA is this book set in? Do you remember?
I think it's like Minnesota or Wisconsin or something, like one of the western states.
This was a new author for both of us, and we really enjoyed her writing style. And this couple, Remington and Erin, they were great together. They were very well developed. Their romance was believable, unlike some other romances that we have read.
Yeah.
This author has another series called Romancing Manhattan, which I personally selected for the TBR because it's set in New York. So I'm going to finish both of these series sometime soon. I don't know when.
The Wild for You, I enjoyed it because I think it was like really well written, and the author did a nice job with the love interest in this book, making it an engaging read.
Thank you for tuning in, and for the rest of the year, check out our blog for book reviews. We will link it in the description, and also we will link the next video on Matt's channel in the description. Please subscribe to all of our channels for book-related content. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.